Over the last 7 weeks, I've done 19 rucks and I've walked over 44 kilometers. Madness. What I realise is that most men, they just train for aesthetics, but in a crisis that's useless. You might have to move fast or carrying 10 to 20 kilos over long distances. Most guys can't do that. Not even close, bro. Why? Because they don't train for capability. So today, I'm going to teach you how to fix that. Rucking is simple. It's walking with weight. And yeah, it doesn't look cool, but the capability that you gain is. I started because I wanted to become as capable as a soldier without joining the military. And turns out, soldiers ruck. Quite a lot actually. The British Army rucks at about 15 kilograms at 6 kilometers an hour for a long distance. When it comes to the special forces, they ruck with heavier loads, they go faster, and they go over uneven terrain. Rucking builds exactly the kind of strength that normal gym training doesn't. So here's how to start rucking. First, you're going to need a backpack to put your weights in. Bear in mind that the most weight a typical backpack can handle without breaking is 10 to 12 kilograms. You can start with just 5 kilograms if you don't train regularly, but if you do train regularly, you can start with 8 to 10, depending on how you feel. I use dumbbell weights that I put in my backpack, but you don't need proper weights to start. You can just use books. If you have a laptop, you can put that in your bag. Any heavy objects that you have, all of those things can work. And you can weigh them with a kitchen scale, or even just like a normal human weighing scale, a bathroom scale if you've got one of those. When starting out, you can start doing it by walking around your neighborhood for 30 minutes, just 2 times a week. The point isn't to pile on the weights or to break records in the beginning. The point is just to get started. And if 30 minutes is too much, if you can't fit that into your schedule, then you can just do 15 minutes. For tracking my rucks, I use an app called Strava, which is available for both Android and Apple phones. Another reason why it's so bad to go heavy when you start rucking is because you damage your knees. If you ruck with too much weight, what that does is that shifts the weight forward because you start leaning forward, so you're rucking more so with your thighs and your knees, which is quite bad because now you're putting strain more on your knees and also the connective tissue around your knees, and that tissue cannot grow as fast as your muscles can. They take a lot longer to grow back if you damage them. So if you're not careful and if you keep rucking and you keep trying to put on more weight, sooner or later you're going to walk around with knee pain all the time. So the simple way to deal with that is to just ruck with less weight. When you ruck with less weight, which means that you're rucking with weight that pushes you but it's not too hard, the weight moves back more so on your hamstrings and your calves, which is where it should be anyway. So whenever you ruck, just keep in mind your technique. Make sure that your technique is good, make sure that you're not leaning too far forward. And another thing is, when you put too much weight, which means that you start leaning forward, what also happens is you start walking a little bit differently. And one way to tell is that your stride becomes longer. So if when you're rucking your stride is longer, that's a sign that maybe you should either dial back the weight or you should start taking smaller steps. I learned this from a person called John Hamilton, who is a YouTuber. He talks a lot about rucking and also all about the army, getting into the army. And he has a very helpful rucking video, which I'll put down below. When it comes to your gear, you don't need anything fancy to start rucking. As long as you have a backpack and some weights, whether it's dumbbell weights like what I have, or maybe a different kind of weights that are like a different shape so they're not circular, or maybe it's just books and maybe a laptop, just like some heavier items. As long as you have those things, then you can start rucking. And then also getting Strava on your phone as well, that would help. And then logging your rucks on Strava to see how good you are. Using Strava is going to help a lot because it will show you your average speed, the distance, obviously. It will track your time for you as well. But also, something that's interesting is something called elevation gain. This is for free. You don't need the premium version of Strava to get elevation gain statistics on your rucks. Basically, elevation gain is simply how steep or how not steep or shallow your ruck was. Or if you use Strava for running, it can show you that as well. for walking, for cycling. Basically it's like, if your elevation gain is high, that means you went up and down a lot. But if it's very low, then obviously it's quite flat. And what this means is, if your elevation gain is low, that means your ruck or your walk is going to be easier. But if it's higher, that's a sign that you were pushing yourself as you were rucking in a place where you went up or down more. I actually filmed the introduction about 3 weeks ago for this video. It's been a long time that I've spent making this video. Recently I had a new personal best, and on one of my rucks my elevation gain was 50 meters and I did 7 kilometers. At this point I've now rucked for about 9 weeks. I'm coming into my 10th week this week for rucking. The thing that keeps me going is just the idea that rucking helps me to become a more capable person, and if I'm more capable, then it's easier for me to help the people around me if something happens. And also just like day-to-day activities, I can lift more than most people can, or more than the average person can. I think rucking is a good way to develop your overall strength, but also your endurance and your helpfulness when there's some kind of situation and something needs to be done fast, and maybe something needs to be carried or someone needs to be carried. If you make the choice to bring rucking into your consistent weekly routine, then over time you will become someone who is more valuable and more dependable for the people around you. And actually one of my goals for 2026 is to ruck at least 2 times a week, every single week. Now for this week I haven't rucked yet, so today's Wednesday, it's New Year's Eve. I still have the rest of the week to ruck twice. I'm confident that I will get my rucks in. Let me know what you thought of this kind of video. It is certainly a bit of a departure from my previous videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and Happy New Year.